everybody. This is Tara Thomas with Waterloo Schools. I'm the Director of School and Community Relations. Always a pleasure to be on the KBBG airwaves, and thanks to the listening audience for wanting to hear more about Waterloo Schools and how far our reach extends in the Waterloo area and beyond. Joining me is somebody who can speak directly to how much it takes a village to support our children, and that is Steve Thorpe. He and his wife Liz are well known in the area, longtime residents, and through Rotary and their volunteer and service commitment, people who are very generous in the way that they've given back both of their time and resources to benefit the residents of Waterloo. So welcome, Steve.
Good morning.
Talk about Operation Warm. That is coming up here in the next couple weeks, a critical time to really get those coat orders in so we can put those coats in the hands of Waterloo students. Tell us about it.
Absolutely. About 4 years ago, Liz and I were at a Rotary event in Cleveland, Ohio, and there was a fellow there representing Operation Warm, and so we dug into it as far as finding out information about it, and actually it started in Pennsylvania about 12 years ago, and there was a small Rotary club, and they were talking about an issue that had been in the newspaper, that lots of kids were going to school without winter coats, and it's cold in Pennsylvania like it is in Iowa. So anyway, one of the members went out and bought as many as he could, but it was like February, I think, and so, you know, all of it had been on sale, so there weren't many coats left. But during that summer, they decided maybe it'd be a good project for them to get going, so they formed a foundation called Operation Warm. And last April, they gave away their 1 millionth coat, and that's in like 10 or 11 years. So anyway, we decided it was something that would be needed in this area. We knew how cold it gets here, and certainly last winter was a perfect example of that.
Yes.
And everybody's now promising that maybe this winter might even be like that, so hopefully not. But the one thing that we do know, and that is that there are a lot of families that do need help, and so we decided we'd do what we could. And I think the first year, our first love was to help at Cunningham because my wife was teaching there. But that year we helped at Cunningham and also at Lincoln, and then at Sacred Heart and the Blessed Sacrament. So we think it's important to spread whatever we can get for help to help people in all the schools in this area. Anyway, so I think we maybe got 350 coats that year, and that of course all depends on how much money you can raise. And the next year I think we got about 450 or 500. Then last year we were able to raise enough money to buy 1,000 coats.
Wow.
So that was great. Unfortunately, we haven't been as successful this year because some of the places we got some grants, they say, well, you know, this is only limited to 1 year that
Okay.
we'll do this. It's not a renewable thing. So anyway, we're hoping this year that we're going to be able to hit maybe 750 coats.
So still a substantial amount. And
Yeah,
how much
yeah.
money was required to be raised to fulfill that order?
Well, for the 1,000 last year, it was $18,000. So we were able to get the coats at a pretty reasonable price. And needless to say, when you buy in a large quantity, this organization, Operation Warm, does that. And they're a non-profit foundation, so I mean, no one's making any money off of this. They're just doing what they can to help people. I think the thing that probably is the most frightening or upsetting, and that is that in the Waterloo schools, almost 69% of the kids are on free or reduced lunch. And so that means that lots of families need lots of help, and that means that we need more coats than we've been able to get money for.
Absolutely.
But anyway, for families that might be listening, the family support worker at your school would be the person to contact if there's a chance that you know, your children would need a winter coat this year. And the other thing is, you know, that they would qualify, because we have to kind of do this for those who need the most help, as you know, we know in almost everything that happens in the community. Liz and I are now working at the food bank, at the old food bank. And this morning I unloaded a semi with 22 pallets on it because the driver said he was too tired to help me. So anyway, this was a full semi of food that we're shipping to Nicaragua, and by the end of next week. So we're shipping about 50 ton of help to Nicaragua. We started helping down there 13 years ago, and we started with one school with 90 kids, and we now have 12 schools with 2,000 kids that we're helping to keep in school and educate and help pay part of the teachers' salaries.
That is
a lot
excellent.
a lot of other things, so
So
we
you're-
feel blessed to be able to do these things.
Absolutely, so your reach extends far beyond the Cedar Valley in
It
terms
does,
of your
yeah.
connection. Tell us how you come up with that kind of money. I mean, that's a large amount to raise every year. So
Yeah.
to get $18,000, to whom do you draw those funds
I
from?
tell you, I was born with my hand out, and so that's how it works. I just have lots of people that, are generous enough to say, well, I can give you a couple $100 or things like this, or, the Community Foundation has been helpful. They've helped us with this project, and as I'm sure everyone knows around here, they do a lot to help in this community, so I know they were part of helping here at KBBG and other places in this community, so that's a big help. And we got some help from the McElroy Foundation, we got some from the Rotary Foundation, which is an international foundation of Rotary clubs in 200 countries of the world, so that's kind of the way it works.
And talk about Rotary, why do you stay committed to that organization? And that was sort of the spearhead of where Operation Warm came on your radar.
Right. Actually, Rotary was started in 1905, and the person who started it actually was a Iowa Law School graduate named Paul Harris. And he was practicing in Chicago, and he thought it would be a cool idea to have people in different businesses, get together just to share ideas and things like that, and that's kind of how it started. But now Rotary exists in over 200 countries of the world, and we're doing things to help feed and educate and whatever is necessary for people in lots of countries where, they just don't have the ability to help it. And so we've got lots of people that want to step up and join hands, and that's the deal. Our project, our Nicaragua project, was started, Liz and I were at a meeting in San Antonio 13 years ago or 14 years ago, and a priest from Nicaragua was there speaking about an issue that existed, and that was that they had 1,000 children living at and spending their days at the garbage dump. They'd had a hurricane that had circled northeast, northwest Nicaragua, but unlike tornadoes that we have here that are gone in 3 minutes, this hurricane circled for a week and dropped 84 inches of rain, which literally took out all the roads, and there were 10,000 people living around the edge of a volcano. I can't imagine why you'd pick that place to build your home, but anyway, they did. And part of the cone of the volcano broke, and 5,000 people were killed from the mudslides. But the remaining 5,000 then were taken to this area by the garbage dump. So anyway, initially we helped build a school close to the dump with room for 90 kids, and then we've just continued to expand that to where we now have 12 schools. And when we go to the dump, which we do, I've been to Nicaragua I think 20 times in the last 13 years. But anyway, we always go to the dump because that's really where everything started. And now we seldom see more than 30 or 40 people there, kids there.
What an
the rest of them are in
impact.
school, so we've got a small hospital, and we have doctors that come from all over the world to help us. We have the only blind school in Nicaragua for children that are blind. We've got a women's shelter that we opened up in 2003, and we have about 1,500 gals that walk 20 to 40 miles when they're 8.5 months pregnant to be at our shelter. So we've got a lot of things that we've been able to help, change, and people all over the world need help, and when you find a place where you can fit in and help and join hands with others, it's great.
If you're just joining us, this is Tara Thomas with Waterloo Schools. You're hearing the voice of Steve Thorpe. He and his wife Liz are longtime residents who've been very much entwined in the Waterloo Schools, and that he has 3 children who are products of the Waterloo Schools. Liz, his wife, was a longtime employee of Cunningham, a reading specialist, literacy coach, and in their years of service to our community, they have extended beyond, through Rotary and other organizations, to the far-reaching garbage dump of Nicaragua that Steve was just speaking of, where they are continuing to impact the lives of young people. And close at home, Operation Warm is in full swing. This is another opportunity where Steve and Liz are spearheading an organization, a mission, if you will, that will give 700 coats minimum this year. 700 plus, Steve is saying, thanks to generous donations of local individuals, to put coats on the backs of Waterloo school children. So why do it, Steve? Why do you and Liz take that money and time and put it toward helping others?
Well, my kids were educated in the Waterloo schools. I was on the Waterloo School Board for 14 years. So anyway, we care about what's going on here. And secondly, there's lots of people that need a hand, and when you have the ability to help find an opportunity to help them, it's a blessing in your life, really.
And tell us
Every
what,
once in a while, my sister, I have to say this because every once in a while I might say, gee, you know, this was lucky or something like that. She says, no, it wasn't lucky, you were blessed, you know.
absolutely.
That really is the way it is, too.
So tell us what your line of work has been. What's your business title, if you will?
I've been in the insurance business with Northwestern Mutual. We're the largest life insurance company in the United States. Our home office is in Milwaukee, and I started as a college intern with Northwestern 50 years ago. So and I'm still working full-time. My assistant, she decided we only need to work 4 days a week, but, you know, we still are going at that as well as doing what we can volunteer-wise, so it's been great.
You've been able to see the recipients of the coat donations when you've gone out and these coats are given to children. Obviously, we would hope that if somebody you know in your home, if you're listening, needs a coat this winter and could use that help, thanks to Steve and Liz, hundreds of coats will be donated to Waterloo schools. You can contact the family support worker, as we were talking, in each elementary school. A family support worker would be happy to take your call and to put your child or your grandchild or your neighbor's name down as a child that would be eligible and should be getting a coat thanks to these donations. So we wanted to encourage you to do that. Talk about what it means to you then, Steve, to know or to see these hundreds of coats that you and Liz have ordered on the backs of kids during the winter.
It's great. I think, you know, one of the things which is exciting, and that is that this Operation Warm Foundation, they provide 24 different styles and colors of coats for girls and boys. So it's not like, you know, they're all exactly the same, and anybody that might see them in a certain coat would think, oh, well, they got one of those free coats or something. So it makes them, I think it makes them feel great, and you should see the smiles on their faces, you know, when they leave wherever it is we're handing out the coats, you know. The one thing that's important in that is that Liz and I, you know, we kind of crack the whip on these things, but it's the Waterloo Downtown Rotary Club that's made this all possible, and that's, you know, we're part of that, and they help us in all the projects that we're doing, and so it's the people that belong to that Rotary Club that step up and write checks to the Community Foundation and say, sure, I can help, and that's how we get the money so we can buy more coats.
Well, on behalf of Waterloo Schools and all the local families who will benefit from your generosity and from your time, thank you to Steve Thorpe and Liz and the Rotary and all the folks beyond that who are opening their hearts and wallets to support this, and we thank you for your time. We'll be right back to talk about a STEM festival coming up. This is Tara Thomas with the Waterloo Schools. Stay with us.